Hey, what's up everybody? Thanks for joining me in another day at the B is for Build shop. In today's episode, we're gonna figure out the extent of the damage. I'm gonna start taking damaged body panels off. We're gonna slide underneath the car, check out the transmission, rear diff, that type of stuff. Then we're gonna start the car and run it in gear and make sure the transmission is okay. And then once we've done that, we're gonna start removing some of the rear glass so we can start removing the damaged quarter panel metal. Stay tuned. All right, everything I said as far as the order operations of those things, we're gonna switch them all around because the glass guy is on his way out here right now. So when you're doing a rear quarter panel, you normally have to remove the rear glass so you can get access to all of these pinch welds down here where the quarter panel is attached to the rest of the, what would you call that? Kind of like the roof rail or the B-pillar, whatever you want to call it. Also, rear quarter glass as well. Now, I found out that if you're a one-person show like me, that it's often a little bit faster and cheaper to just hire somebody to do this than it is to spend your own time. For instance, I think the last time I did this, I spent about 3 or 4 hours doing the rear window, and these guys will come out and do it for $100. They'll pull your rear window out. Also, the likelihood of it breaking is a lot less when you have it done by a professional. So I'm going that method, but it is possible to DIY, especially if you have 2 people. We did it ourselves in our first try. We did it on a BRZ. We did not break it, so to each their own. But he's on his way here now, so we're gonna start tearing into it. I'm gonna do a little bit of cleanup before he gets here, and then he'll just jump in and pull that baby out. Alright, we got all the glass out of the car, and we may have done an oopsie. I'll talk about that in a second, but first, a word from our sponsor. Today's episode is sponsored by Squarespace. To put it simply, Squarespace gives people like you and me a powerful, beautiful, very elegant platform on which to create your next website. A lot of you guys know that I was a software engineer for many, many years, and that's what I did. I built websites for big companies and all sorts of different projects and stuff like that. But when anybody close to me would come to me and say, Chris, what should I do to start my own website? I always said Squarespace. They have such a powerful, easy to use, all-in-one platform that you don't ever have to like patch it or upgrade it or install anything. And it's as simple as just drag and drop and entering the text and stuff like that. So simple that my mom's company, I used to build her website by scratch. We got her switched over to Squarespace. She's been running her own website for years now. And the last website that I created, I even used Squarespace myself. When you start building your website with Squarespace, you can start by selecting one of their award-winning design templates. They're very elegant, very beautiful, and look very professional, and there's a ton of them. So you can find the right one that fits the mood for your project, and then it's as simple as replacing some text here and there, swapping out some images, maybe add a new page, and then you're ready to go. It's a very flexible platform to fit the needs for many types of creators. So if you want to do, say, throw some music, if you're an artist, you want to throw some music online, you can do that. If you're a cinematographer, you want to throw some video online, you can do that. If you need a storefront, they also have that. So it's very flexible to suit the needs for a bunch of different types of creators. So guys, check it out now. Hit the link in the description. It's squarespace.com/B-is-for-build, and that will get you started with a free trial and 10% off of your first purchase. Thanks to Squarespace. Now let's jump into the oopsie. This time the oopsie wasn't my fault, so it feels okay. Also not too expensive of a part. The rear glass came out, no problems. We didn't damage any of the heating elements or anything like that. It's setting over there. The quarter glass got shattered into a million pieces. There's a plastic clip right here that they didn't know about, so when they were cutting, they added a little bit of extra force, and the glass just shattered. I think another thing that led to it also is that the glass in this car is super, super thin, and I assume that Nissan did that to keep the weight down on this car. So no harm, no foul, really. They did their best, and you know, they've got years and years of experience doing this stuff. They warned me that this could totally happen when we got into this, and I accepted the risk because I figured they've been doing this stuff for 10 years, so if they're gonna break the glass, then I surely would have broke the glass. So that's how I look at it. No harm, no foul. We're gonna order a new one from the dealership and keep on keeping on. Next little project, since we're working completely backwards, and I definitely don't want to flood the shop with car exhaust right now, so let's go ahead and check out the undercarriage and see if there's any more unknown damages on there. I'm gonna hit the up button on the quick jack, get this thing as high in the air as we possibly can, and we'll get a flashlight and get under there. Well, that's a terrible sound, Mr. Quick Jack. Pause. and it just needed a little bit of help. Since it's a scissor lift, you're not really supposed to start lifting with it completely collapsed. Makes a lot of sense. I forgot that. All right, let's jump underneath. All right, well, this is some pretty close quarters filming, but I'm gonna try and do my best. So you can see our itty bitty little oil pan right there and all the other stuff. That looks good, and there's no leakage. Kind of coming on back, you can see that our lower control arms on both sides look good, and that this front subframe doesn't look like it took a massive hit anywhere. On the exhaust side of the world, you can see our turbo right back there, and the other one right back there. There are no downpipes, and big bummer is this turbo right here. If I show you right here, we're actually missing the stud. So there's a stud here, no stud there. So I'm gonna have to find out how to buy a stud. Then we need nuts all around to be able to do our downpipes, as well as I found out that the O2 plugs are hanging out right up here. So we're gonna need to get some O2 sensors for our exhaust system as well. Moving on back, we got a rear diff there. Here's our rear subframe, which looks fine from the bottom side, but we know from the top side it's got that pickup point that's bad. So I bought a new one of these, 850 bucks. It's on its way to me right now. It's actually 750, but with shipping it's about 1,000. It's on its way to me right now. I know it's going to be a total pain to install. I'm really not looking forward to that. I'm pretty positive we're going to have to drop out the diff. I'm not sure if we have to take out the transaxle and everything else like that. But looking past that, the diff looks fine, no impacts there. That side looks very clean. Obviously that's the unhit side. And then coming over to here, this is the frame rail that was in the danger zone, and you can see that it structurally looks just fine, that the subframe pickup point was definitely not mangled. So that's a very, very good sign for this build. So that's it. Underneath, nothing scary. Scariest part was up top, right there. Stupid bent bracket, $1,000 bent piece. Also, I wanted to update you guys on the other suspension components from the discovery that we had last night. So not only did I get a new rear subframe, I got a new one of these upper control arms. I got this rod new, that one right there, and that one right there. Those are all being replaced. So everything that holds this knuckle in place, that holds the wheel in place, obviously the suspension is not staying. I don't even think that's for a GT-R. But everything that holds that in place, we're gonna be replacing. All right, I thought I was out of the woods, but I found some new problems. The front passenger side and the rear passenger side CV boots have some tears in them, and they lost all their grease. I've been told once a CV boot loses its grease, the CV joint, the odds of it being damaged are really high, and it's worth just replacing the axle. So I had to order a front driver's side axle for this car and a rear driver's side axle. All together, they cost 550 bucks for both of them, and they will be here a week from Monday, so that's kind of a long delay. But it'll give me a little bit of peace of mind knowing that I got the new stuff in there, rather than just replacing the boot and hoping that the CV joint wasn't damaged while they had less greasage. So let's move on to some quarter panel stuff. All right, we got our side skirt pulled off, as well as the kick panel right there, so I could see this whole seam right here. So the quarter panel kind of welds in, like, this is the outer skin of the quarter panel. When I say the quarter panel, it welds in around that pinch weld there. Up there, we're gonna have another seam, then it comes down around that roof line. Bunch of stuff's gonna happen in the back of the trunk, all around there. It should be connected, kind of, who knows, after the wreck, and then down there it connects up and like that. So that's how the outer skin of the quarter panel is attached to the car. The next step that we're gonna wanna do, I think, is I like to get my whole seam visible so I can see the cut points that I'm gonna make. So obviously I'm gonna be, drilling out the spot welds here and removing it here. I don't know what we're gonna be doing up here. So I think I'm gonna bring the car back down once again and take this piece off. So this is a plastic piece, and it's one piece all the way from here, all the way down the A-pillar there. And I think it's like $600 or $700, so I really don't want to break it. I'm gonna take that piece off. And one really cool thing about this car when you're doing a quarter panel replacement is this is gonna cover up our weld. Most cars, this whole A-pillar goes down to the roof, the B-pillar and everything like that. Your roof rail is all one piece, so you have to weld it in here and do some body filler and make it look all smooth. Not with this one. It's gonna have a cover over our seam, so that's pretty nice. So let's see if we can get this piece off without breaking it. Well, I did another oopsie. I can't believe I did this. So I watched a video online before I did this, and I saw the guy just pop, 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 and he was like popping them off. So I went to pop it, and I got the first one. I didn't realize that I was actually just popping the clip off of the back of this piece, and then I went for the second one and just snapped this clean off of here. Because what I didn't see is that there is a railing, a nice chrome little piece of trim railing that screws in there that holds the molding for the door and the windowsill, and it also holds this piece down. So, they're not awfully expensive. It's 350 bucks for a set of these from carbon fiber from China, so I'd have to wait a little bit. I'm thinking that this is also repairable. I could totally just fiberglass this thing back together. But for now, I'm gonna wait till after this airs and see if anybody watching maybe has an extra set from somebody that maybe upgraded to the carbon fiber ones or something like that. So, if you're doing this at home, it does not take a lot of force at all. If you're doing a lot of force, you're doing it wrong. Metal trim comes out first, and then it should pretty easily wiggle out of there. Okay, but now we have visible the quarter panel seam that is right here. Well, what should we break next? I vote the rear bumper cover because it is garbage anyways. So go ahead and uninstall this baby, and then we can figure out what the seams look like all the way around here and back up there. It's already halfway installed already. Well, that's two different ways to kind of remove half of the bumper. This side was the crash way. It busted a lot of tabs. There's a tab broken here, tab broken here. Those are tabs that connect in the top of the bumper to the tail light. So I'm gonna have to glue those back onto the tail light, and that's why the bumper actually came off of that part. Over here, the bumper would not come off the tail light because the tabs are still intact, so the tail light actually comes out with the bumper cover. So anytime you want to take off the bumper cover, tail lights come with it, etc., etc. So we're gonna have to go ahead and free up that tail light because this bumper is going in the bin, and then also free up that taillight to get us access to this whole section back here. Taillight out, you can really easily see where the quarter panel seam is and how it kind of comes up here, around here, and then heads up back that way. And that gets us to our next piece that we need to remove, and the last piece that we need to remove prior to the quarter panel removal, which is this trunk lid, because all this stuff really gets in your way when you're trying to drill out the spot welds here. So to remove this, you got to get the wiring out first. So unclip this, get all this stuff, feed it down through here, pull it out of here, and then all the bolts around the sides and the struts, and that thing should be ready to pop off. All right, with that trunk lid off, you can see that we got plenty of room to work. So now you can kind of get the picture of the idea. We're gonna drill all the spot welds out from this quarter panel right here, pull the outer skin off, repair, cut out all the bad bent up metal underneath here, and build a new rear wheel well in there, and the base of the trunk. Just rebuild that stuff out of sheet metal, slap our new one on, new door, and the crash damage will essentially be fixed, other than all the suspension components and stuff that I mentioned earlier. So now it is time to test the transmission. I am going to say though that I'm going to do this kind of gingerly, because I know that when cars aren't like sprung weight, they're not on the ground, they're not on their own wheels, and you run them, driveline stuff can get a little sloppy. I think it doesn't make the car happy. I know that. So I'm going to do this pretty gingerly and just try and get through a couple gears, and we'll see how it goes. All right, let's kick this baby on. Sounds tame enough. Let's go ahead and give this thing a try. So we're gonna press down a brake that does nothing. Let's try reverse first gear. Okay, car is in reverse. The wheels are spinning in reverse. That's a good sign. I'm gonna go into neutral now and let that stop. Don't want to just like jam it into first now, because we have no brakes, remember. Alright, now we're going into drive. Automatic first. I felt the car do do some stuff. There we go. We are rolling. We are rolling. Now let's see if we can get into second gear. Big success. Transmission is shifting smoothly. We had a couple oopsies today. We broke a couple things. May have spent a little bit of extra money, but that is just part of becoming a better car builder. I'm a little frustrated with myself about the A-pillar thing, but I'll get over it. That's the last time I watch a tutorial in Chinese and just go, I got it, and go to work. That's a bad idea. A lot of people have been commenting that this car is a waste of money and that we're gonna spend more money than it would have cost to go buy one used. And I take those comments somewhat seriously because what I like to try and do with this channel is to inspire people to go out there and do builds themselves. It'd be really pointless if it was just a lot more economical to go down to like a used car lot and buy one. So I will prove to you guys that that is not the case. I've done the math, I've run the numbers, I've bought most of all the parts for this car already. I've done the numbers, and at the end of every build series, I do a cost analysis breakdown of exactly what it would cost Joe Schmo off the street to do the same build that I did. So I will show you guys that plain old GT-R would not cost more to buy than it would to buy used, and all spec'd out my way probably will still cost less. Like, you know, a lightly modified spec'd out GT-R exactly how I want it, wide body with all the different bells and whistles, will still probably cost less than the cheapest GT-R for sale in the country. So I'll show it to you guys, I'll prove it to you, hang in till the end, and the proof is in the pudding. Do a total price breakdown. The other thing, we hit 500,000 subs on YouTube today. Thank you so much to everybody that subscribed. Obviously, there's been a huge influx of new people watching just because of the car that we're working on. And I want to say two things. I'll try and make it quick about that. One is thanks everybody for being here, and thank you so much for the support. The other thing is that this is just kind of another piece of proof that the YouTube platform's kind of broken and it's not really fair for all. So I would just say that for everybody watching, you know, judge content creators based on the quality of their content, not their sub count, not their view count on their videos or anything else like that. Because YouTube doesn't, essentially, and it's a broken system. Because clearly buying these really expensive cars shoots channels and everything way up, and it has nothing to do with the quality of what they're doing or the amount of work that they're putting in. And you know, me being one of them, I'm gonna come out and say it. It's like, cool, we hit 500K, I'm really happy about that. I'm still a little bummed that the system's a little bit broken. You guys know I've been building cars like this and doing this type of stuff for like 3 years, so I put in the hard work and all that other stuff, but this was essentially an unfair bump. The reason it really frustrates me is because if a young kid, like I said earlier, I do this in a lot of ways to try and inspire people to kind of want to go out and do the same and have fun with cars. If a young kid comes to me, say he's 16 years old, and he says, Chris, I want to start an automotive YouTube channel, what do? If my best answer to him is to like go get $40,000 or $60,000 to buy a supercar, guaranteed success, there you go, like little Jimmy, that's just a terrible answer, right? That's an unfair playing field, and it favors the people that have a ton of money laying around, which is just BS. That's not the type of world that I like to live in. That's actually why I quit app development altogether, because when I was making iPhone games, I had the same issue competing with the big people. It was just like there was no point. So I want to say that part isn't overlooked, and I do want to just give a shout out to all the smaller channels that are doing awesome, cranking, you know, footage out and whatever, cranking content out day after day, working their asses off, that may not be getting the notoriety or something like that that they deserve. So shout out to you guys, keep grinding. That's about it, enough of my rambling. Huge thanks to our sponsor Squarespace. Guys, go to squarespace.com/B is for build. You will get a free trial and 10% off of your first purchase. And that's it. I will see you guys soon. In the next episode, we're gonna cut into that rear quarter panel and get that bad metal out of there. Peace!